Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Mano y Mano, the show where we pit two fictional characters against one another in the pit to the death. And today, we've got some very special combatants, don't we, Joe?
Special indeed, Jimmy. Special indeed.
The most special, I don't know, it's just, they're
most
cool.
Specialist of all.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, Joe, would you like to tell us who our matchup is today?
In the red corner, we have weighing in at a heavy, stout 240 pounds, 6 foot 6 inches tall. It is the Greek god himself, Mr. Kratos. In the blue corner, we have a whopping 396-pound pulverizer. That's 7 foot 2 inches. A towering shadow indeed. War.
Exactly. Very good. It's War versus Kratos. I was waiting for you to go ba-da-ba. Because usually... Yeah. Anyway, so we've got...
Ding, ding.
Yes, the god of war versus like the physical embodiment of war. Two very different franchises, but we wanted to pit them against each other, and our patrons wanted us to as well. Now, let's just lay some ground rules first. Of course, we're going to put them in the pit. If you're not familiar with the pit, think of it like this kind of gladiatorial arena. It's got red clay, rock and stuff everywhere, with a nice big cage dome over the top of it. These two combatants, they're put in, opposing sides, like in little caves, and then they're released. They're ready to fight each other to the death. That's at least what we tell them. Now, Kratos has been in a lot more games than War has, so we're just going to go after the 2018 Kratos in God of War. Now, this is a continuation of Kratos, and those other feats kind of still apply, but I want to go off of basically what we see in this game to make it more of an even matchup, because Kratos is kind of ridiculous and has had like 4 or 5 other games, and War hasn't had a chance to breathe yet. So let's just try to make it a little more even. All right. So let's go through what these guys can do. First off, let's start with my boy War, who I love. His Darksiders, one of my favorite franchises, obviously. His big weapon of choice, Chaos Eater, this massive sword that is as big as he is, and as Joe just stated, he's like 7 foot 2. So this sword is like that tall, which is amazing. It's huge. Yeah, which I think I've actually seen a live one. They're crazy. Anyway, but besides that, and he can swing that around with relative ease, which is also kind of insane. He also has one of his brother Strife's guns, Mercy, which is a quad barrel revolver. Well, is it a revolver? Yeah, it's a hand cannon, basically. He also uses the Scythe, which you can look into the version that Death uses, which is Harvester. 2 different things, but kind of wide sweeping area attacks and stuff like that. It's really good. Crossblade, think kind of Boomerang from Legend of Zelda, unless you made it into a giant shuriken. Kind of throws it to do puzzle things, but also can use it to stun people up and kind of chop through them, which is really good. Every good game's got a grappling hook. He's got an Abyssal Chain in Darksiders, so basically he can pull himself to bigger opponents or pull smaller opponents to himself, which is also very good. Got the Tremor Gauntlets, big gauntlets that he can use, or big gauntlets punching stuff, really chaotic, very destructive, as Joe said, Pulverizer, another thing there.
I like it.
And then the only other thing we might take into account for this one in particular is the Earthcaller. It's a big horn that's used kind of to wake up giants, but it can also stun people as far as equipment goes. But War can do a few other things. He can basically bathe himself in flame with immolation. He can turn his skin to stone with stone skin. Yeah, pretty great, huh? He has a move called Blade Geyser, where he takes Chaos Eater, shoves it into the ground, and a bunch of blades pop up all around him and do damage. And he also has a move called Affliction, where he can shoot out this kind of like green poison skull that like goes and rips into things and does damage over time. And I'm pretty sure that's most all of his, and this is not an exhaustive list. I'm pretty sure that we're close to almost all of it. His last big thing is that he's got a transformation, which turns him into like his chaos form, makes him look like kind of like a Balrog from the Lord of the Rings franchise, makes him invulnerable, basically turns his sword even bigger, and he kind of uses one hand and just goes kind of slices through everything. So War's a pretty good combatant, I think, for Kratos, especially this 2018 version. Wouldn't you say, Joe?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, for starting off.
Tough call.
Yeah, and then Kratos, let's just go over his stuff pretty quickly. Kratos using the Leviathan axe primarily in the beginning. This is going to be spoilers, by the way, because some people worry about this. But anyway, Leviathan axe, an ice-covered axe, kind of like Mjolnir. He can throw it and then call it back. Very satisfying mechanic, feels real good. Eventually gets his old Blades of Chaos out, which are these two kind of daggers attached to chains, which allow him to attack at either close range or kind of long range with these things, kind of sweeps them out. Kind of almost like two whips with blades on the end of them, in a sense, which are pretty cool. He also has a shield, which allows him, I forget the name of the shield, it's to block certain attacks. It's very strong. I think it's like not going to be able to be broken by too much of anything. And then, let's see, he has a few magical powers. He's got some shockwave abilities. He also has a chaos form in and of itself called Spartan Rage, where he basically can like smash and pick up a boulder and throw it at somebody, and he uses his fists, which he normally uses as weapons now, but he also gets like a boost when he gets into Spartan Rage mode. He can like punch really fast and move around really quickly, only for a limited amount of time. But like War's chaos form, he can be invulnerable for that portion, and he can heal a little bit himself as well. Now, Joe and I'm not going to say we're not the foremost experts in all of this stuff, but I tried to kind of give you guys a little bit of a feel of some of these characters. I'm pretty familiar with them. I know Joe is not as familiar with them. But Joe, from the get-go here, these guys coming out of the cages, seeing each other, what do you think's going to happen?
Well, just in physical stature alone, I think, Kratos has overcome much larger in the past, right? So the size isn't necessarily a factor here. Ability-wise, though, I think ability-wise, if you're familiar with War and everything you just covered, kind of, I don't know.
It makes it a tough fight for sure. One thing I forgot to mention is that War is also one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. He's a Nephilim, and he can call in his steed Ruin anywhere, basically at any time. So we're going to say that I think that should be in play, because usually we don't let vehicles and stuff come into play, but he could literally like summon it out of the ground. So I think he hops on Ruin right away. Not that that's going to make up a huge difference maybe, but I think that's how he starts the fight. He hops on Ruin, charges out, and he's going to try to, like, because once he gets Ruin, he's a bit more powerful in the game when you're on horseback, as you should be, because you're one of the horsemen. So you get on there and you're like, he's going in that first strike on Ruin, Chaos Eater up in the air, ready to go. That's how I think the fight starts.
Yeah. So the first thing that Kratos does is try and take out Ruin.
Yeah, throws the axe maybe, or throws maybe the Blades of Chaos.
Yeah, legs gone.
Yeah, exactly. And not that Ruin's gonna die. It'll just kind of go away, and it won't be, because I'm an animal lover.
No, it's dead. Nope,
it's alive, and everybody loves
it. Glue
Yep.
factory.
Kratos is like, how can I get a horse as well? But yeah, so then they exchange blows. They get right up in each other's faces. I'm thinking that, right away, it's tough because you have someone who's like War, who's very adept swordsman, and Kratos has been shown to use bigger swords in the past, so like the Blade of Olympus, which is like another big kind of Claymore-esque sword, but we're taking that out of the equation. He doesn't have that. I don't know if he's going to be able to really block a lot with like the Leviathan axe. Maybe that's what he would do, or he try to use the shield to kind of block the blows and try to kind of swing one-handed. Maybe.
Here's the thing, Jimmy. I think that there's a bit of a asterisk in this whole thing, and that I think there's the factor of speed and agility has to be factored in a little bit.
That's true.
We talked about their size. Obviously, War is a lot bigger by, almost 150 pounds. And, almost...
More so.
Yeah, 8 inches taller,
Yeah, he's a big boy.
When I think of that and I look at his animation period, how he looks, his physical attributes, he's large, he's bulky. He may move fast, but I don't know that he's like Kratos fast. Kratos is very lean, mean, fighting machine kind of a thing. So if we're considering then the thing that trumps that is, how mortal is War? If he gets stabbed by Kratos, does it count for anything, or is he just like, I don't know. So, but if we're considering them to be like, they get stabbed or stabbed, then Kratos is, probably doing some work on them. And I think being shorter is almost more advantageous here, just to be able to maneuver around him.
That's true.
And War's got quite the getup. It's not like it's just, maybe a loincloth and a strap for his sword holster. He's got the gauntlets, he's got the this, the that, the helmet, the this. I mean, it's a lot. So I find that to be disadvantageous to him in fighting somebody like Kratos. So, but then again, I mean, who's to say War doesn't call upon Death Scythe and finish it there?
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up because I think of like War not being fast either, but in the game, like in the first Darksiders, he has a block, but then he has a dash, and it's incredible the distance this guy can cover with just a dash. He can move. This is a pretty, hopefully, a conservative estimate, but about 15 feet pretty quickly. He'll just kind of go to the side, like that. So maybe that would play a factor into like doesn't move too slowly with his actual sword. Again, he is not like you or I would be, Joe, with like a sword of our size. Like we would be like, he's like, he's swinging it pretty quickly. So it's not like it's his first rodeo. See, sure. Horse joke.
Horse is gone. Horse is at the factory, Jim.
No, it's not. It's fine. It's alive and well. Yeah, that's a good point though, man. But Kratos obviously is, you said the size factor alone isn't gonna like destroy Kratos. It's not like, oh, it's a bigger dude, he's gonna lose for sure. So I'm thinking that it is really gonna come down to that close range stuff. And I wonder if Kratos is gonna try something where he throws the axe out and then calls it back to hit, War in the back of the head or something like that, where he kind of staggers him and then kind of he stabs him with the blades. Is that gonna be enough? And if it does get to that point, I think we're getting to a moment where they both use their super modes, where they both like chaos it up, like, War transforms into that Balrog thing and Kratos goes full Spartan. If it gets to that point, I feel like, if they're both invulnerable, if there's the timers on them, like who's going to outlast whom. But I don't know. I feel like War would maybe take it there. Like it would, if it got to that point, it would finally win it, maybe at that. I don't know. It's hard. It's difficult. This is such a close match, and I've looked around a bunch of other things where people have compared the two, and it seems like there's a lot of kind of like indecisiveness amongst a lot of people. It's like,
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because it is. It's kind of like and you almost don't want either one to win over the other.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, you want them both to just be like, we'll be buddies and we'll both be into war together, They're fighting.
In my mind, I'm just like, okay, Death Scythe, done. Because I feel like I put that up on a pedestal.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing is like, I don't know if he actually literally has Harvester, because in that first game you could get it to look that way, but I don't know if it was literally Death Scythe, like, because then you'd be like, okay, if that's the case, then I mean it's like a one-hitter quitter, literally. You'd hit it and you'd be like, oh, it's done. But he would use that scythe as like an AoE type of thing, and that one's pretty fast. It's not as fast as his Chaos Eater, which he can kind of jump in the air and do like a buzzsaw animation with, so it's like really fast when he does that. I don't know if that would play any part of a factor. At the same time, though, I wonder if he's going to get pushed back, because you have Kratos, who's got the range with the Blades of Chaos, and if it turns into a range thing where, War's in the back using Mercy, shooting a bunch and throwing the crossblade, where Kratos is kind of like blocking that stuff off,
Kratos, that's where, again, I think agility and movement speed and all that, that's advantageous, especially with the range.
Yeah. I wonder do you think the stone skin or the immolation that War can do would help at all in this fight?
I mean, if that makes him invulnerable, then yeah.
Well, the stone skin, I think it increases his defense a lot, but I was thinking more of like, if the Leviathan axe hit him and froze most people, would it hit him and then he could just burn out of it and just kind of grab it and throw it to the side, and then Kratos would call it back and be like, I can't use that again, and just kind of be like, oh, that doesn't work on this guy.
Plausible,
Yeah.
Plausible.
Yeah, and Kratos, you did say he wasn't wearing a lot of armor. I guess it just depends on who goes for the big hit first, because I feel like War could take a few more, than Kratos could, because if War gets a good hit with that thing.
Yeah.
Also, War
it's
is
like chop
known.
in half territory kind of a thing.
Now, War is also known to grab people's faces and crush them because he's got that one big hand. So it's like if he gets the stab, is it still going to be one of those things where he takes like a potentially almost lethal hit just to be like squash him like a grape? Be like, be like that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I'm kind of wavering to the side of War here. I really think, when I was first thinking of this, I was trying to be like, okay, where do they rank tier-wise, right? Like say, War and his siblings were. What plane are they on compared to Greek gods? And really, Kratos is what, a demigod? He's a god and a human.
Yeah, he was a human, became he started off as a demigod, became a god, and now is basically in this kind of weird gray area nowadays where he's basically a demigod / god still.
Yeah. But I mean, death, war, dude, that transcends all that crap, right?
I would think, that's the hard thing is like, yeah, from a narrative perspective, you're like, well, how does the God of War beat War, War beat God of War? Like, you're kind of like, and again, going off of just
I am the reason behind your existence. I am War. You are nothing without me. War wins. Done.
Yeah, people were making that suggestion. They're like, what if War dies and then like Kratos loses all of his power? It's like, well, no, conflict would still exist in this world. It was just like he was just named that, at the beginning.
Bullcrap. There is none without him.
We're going off of this most recent Kratos, which again, if we went after the older, kind of more of the feats that he's done in the past, I feel like Kratos would kind of stomp War. And I mean that in the best possible way, because there's just so much more that Kratos has done in the past with those first 3 games and his offshoots and stuff where it's like, no one can beat him. Like, he's just overcome everything. Nothing can stop him. And I feel like if War had more entries in the Darksiders franchise, that's what he would have gotten to, because in video games you want to go crazier and more insane and be like, look what you can do as just this regular little person. You can kill a super huge giant. So I feel like he is more suited for this matchup, as is with this incarnation we have of Kratos right now, where he's a little older, maybe not as crazy strong as he used to be, but still a really good match. So
I think that's appropriate, Jimmy.
I try to be fair. I just want it to be more like that, because like it's insane. It'd be like if we had Sauron versus Darth Vader. Oh wait, we already did that. Which there's a that was a fun one. Go check that one out. Yeah, that was good. Once you start to look into some of this backstory stuff, especially for older franchises like that, you're like, oh, all right.
Rabbit hole. Engage.
I still feel like it's a close fight.
I do too, but I think War's it for me.
Yeah. How do you think it ends, Joe? How do you think it ends? Do you think it's a Chaos Eater to the neck, just lopping it off, or what are you thinking?
I think War's going to take some hits for sure.
Oh, totally. He's going to get.
I don't think he's walking away from this, without a stumble here and there. I think he's going to be banged up, but no, I bet that's Scythe, man. All he's got to do is point it at him, and it's over, right?
I don't think that's how it works, but yeah. Well, like our scenario we started off with, charges up with Ruin. Ruin gets taken out. They're kind of maybe at a little bit of a distance. The Blades of Chaos are coming out. The Pistol Mercy and the Crossblade are coming out. They're doing that. Affliction might be going out too. And then I think that's when War starts to press the advantage, because I think that's the issue that Kratos has a lot of times, is that he's really good when he's fighting people just with his bare hands, which he does have that option, but I don't think any of those punches are really going to put War down. I think War's going to dash in with the that Chaos Eater, and he's just going to start swinging at him, and Kratos is going to be like, holy crap, it's very overwhelming to have like a 7-foot sword be swung really quickly into your face.
Yeah, you don't just block it either. And what does Kratos have that's able to block it?
Well, it's a shield. I forget the name of that shield, but he's got a. So he might be taking hits, kind of. That's what I was thinking. Like, he might have the axe and try to throw it out and call it back and try to like hit him, from behind. But even then, I think, War is on you at that point, and he's trying to grab that shield and just kind of grab your face and crush your head. Like, I don't know if it's going to be too much more if he gets into close range, because Kratos is so good at that distance kind of thing. Like, his weapons are all about, usually, besides the Blade of Olympus, like kind of being like, hey, I want 20 feet of space, and I'm going to, I'm going to slice you up. But when somebody gets in close, it's like, whoa, wait, like, you're a little too much for me. So, yeah, I still think it's a close fight. I think that it could almost go either way, but I'm going to give it to War for now with this incarnation of Kratos. But then when the next God of War comes out, blows this out of the water, I'll be like...
Yeah, we'll have to go back and redo that mano a mano from 2018, Jimmy.
Yeah, I'll be like, oh my gosh, they need to give War another video game, and they're like, we just decided to make War unkillable. I'll be like, perfect. I will say this though, I do want to see a moment where Kratos does go Spartan Rage, kind of kicks up a boulder and throws it, at War, and War finally turns into like the Balrog and just slam it down. Yeah,
so how does that roll, and what kind of scale are we talking?
For the Chaos form?
The Balrog.
Yeah, so basically he transforms for a short period of time and becomes basically invulnerable to damage, and he's like the size almost of a Balrog, maybe a little bit smaller, now that I think about it. He's probably in the ballpark of like 12, 15 feet tall. He's pretty massive creature than, he was before. And he basically can swing his sword just kind of a few times and kind of do like a crash down and stuff. It's nothing super insane, but that's kind of like his trump card if you get in a really bad spot. You're just like, oh, crap. And just like death.
Well, there. He pulls a trump card, and that's how it ends.
Yeah.
The finisher.
That would be cool. Yeah. It's like Death does it as well, but he actually turns into like the Reaper, and he actually gets the scythe out. And you're like, it's like, cool. Yeah, it's like, and it's over. And he uses it to like finish off like executions and stuff. Like he'll just transform into it for like a second to do something cool and then transform out. I'm like, that's so good. But yeah, so War, very close match, but still a good one. Joe, do you feel confident in saying definitively that War at this moment is the guy?
In all honesty, no. I mean, with the situation we laid out, I think we did kind of poke a couple holes in the armor, the fabric that intertwines and holds together the ideology.
There you go, ideology. Perfect.
Of Kratos. So anyway, I mean, Kratos, he's all great. Everything he's done in the game's great. Yada yada. The storyline, the narrative, everything they established with him. You think, okay, there's not much that can beat him, if anything at all, right? But I don't know. There were a couple things, like you said. I mean, the size and the fact that that reach, once they get in close like that, and a 7-foot sword just swinging, and I mean, he's capable of dang near leveling a city block, right? I just, get Kratos on his back feet, on his heels, stumbling back. They do that Balrog finishing move, boom, dead. Yeah. Definitively War.
Yeah, well, I think, again, you can make a case for either. And I do want to hear people in the comments below tell us why we're right or why we're wrong, because I'm sure there's plenty of things that people will be like, how dare you forget about this? Because I'm sure there was like one or two things, because not completely exhaustive, but exhaustive to an extent. And basically it just gives us a moment to just kind of have one of those old school discussions about two characters from two different points of fiction that get to just like cross over for a moment to try and kill each other, because that's just what we want to see, right? Like that's all we want. We want a bloodbath. Anyway, Joe, thank you so much for sitting here and discussing this with me. I know these aren't franchises you know the best, but I appreciate you.
I know well now.
You brought it enough. Maybe it'll make you interested enough one of these days to start, because you've watched some of Darksiders. I've played it, and some of God of War, and know a little bit about this franchise. But if you ever want to suggest a matchup to us, you can definitely do that over on our Patreon. Our patrons get to do that, especially at the $10 tier. Basically, that's where we started off, and then we get to decide from there. We get to pick who starts and then who would be a good matchup for them. And obviously a huge thank you to the artist, Stephen Purifoy, the guy who did this amazing picture we're looking at. It is fantastic. It looks so darn good. He's been doing all of these for us. And if you ever want any work done by him, go check him out. over on Twitter. He's wonderful. He's excellent. He might be really busy right now, but you never know if he'll do a commission for you. But this one was something I wanted to just see. Like, I wanted to see this fight, Joe. And now we get to look at this picture. Kratos running in with his axe. He's all like, "Ah!" And War's like, "Let's go!" And
it is good. Yeah. Very good.
I love the designs of both of them. I love that War just has a hood. He's just no helmet. He just has a hood on. He's like, "Don't look at my eyes." But yeah,
sunlight.
Yeah. Yes, but thank you everybody for watching. If you want to support us, you can either like this video, subscribe to our channel, share us with a friend, check us out on Instagram and all those places, Facebook, or you can donate to us over on patreon.com/criticalreviews. And Joe, once again, thank you for being on, buddy. It was a pleasure just sitting and chatting with you. As per usual. And until next time, just remember to adapt and overcome.